Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Welcome back to Inside the Game, number 183 here on this Tuesday, November the 4th. I'm Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. And apologies for yesterday. We'll dive into what that was all about here in a bit. But first off, Nathan, man, welcome back here. I know we had a long weekend. I didn't have a chance to really talk to you yesterday. I was a little preoccupied with some basketball in the morning. But how was your weekend, and how are things going?
Good, man. I was talking to Ryan about it yesterday. I got the chance to step out and see a really cool matchup, international rugby matchup between Ireland and New Zealand, the All Blacks, who are notorious inside of the rugby community because all the New Zealand national teams, they all do the haka before they play their games. And so that's one of those things that, in terms of just being a sports fan in general, I wanted to cross off the bucket list. And so I got to do that inside of what they call the spaceship in Chicago, which it literally does look like a spaceship. If you look at Soldier Field from the outside, it is a unique build to it. Probably wasn't my favorite stadium in the world, but listen, there's just certain places that I want to go just to say that I've been. It's not nearly because I think it's the coolest place on earth. I just want to go just to say that I went. And so I was there, and the tailgate was awesome, and everything was great. I played rugby back in high school, so there's a certain beauty to that game that's really cool. It's really tight-knit community, and, unlike football, at least the way I justified it when I played in high school, It's like football in a lot of ways, but you don't have to deal with the politics. It moves in similar ways to like the way soccer moves. Like, it's constant. It just goes. The clock doesn't stop. We just keep going. There might be added time at the end, but it's like there's no such thing as stop and go and stop and go. It just flows, and everybody gets to touch the ball. And so I've missed the game for a while, but to get back in the atmosphere like that was pretty damn cool. So. And then obviously Hollow Weekend in Chicago, you can't go wrong there.
Were you there the entire weekend, or just
no, just that night. Yeah. But it was we went to the north side. Matilda's, by the way, was the place that we went. So like literally, and this is the thing that drives me nuts. I'm normally the most hyper aware, like overanalyzing person in the world. Like, I always want to know what's around me. I want to know what my surroundings are. I want to know where things are, who's around me. And I didn't even think to realize that Wrigley Field was 3 minutes down the road, literally a straight shot from where we were. So I wish I would have stopped by there because that's my favorite building in the U.S. But, it was the north side's always a riot. Always a riot.
I the last time I was in Chicago was a couple of years ago for my birthday. I had a chance to go there in December and see it. I had not been there during the holidays. At least I can't recall growing up. Chicago, a beautiful city. It's I think it's the third largest city in America. I think New York is considered still number one. I think LA is 2, and then Chicago's 3. So somewhere in the neighborhood, 8 to 10 million, something like that in that city. It's a lot of people that live in the downtown area.
And when you take the train in, you realize just how big it is too. You're like, this is like never ending. But yeah, I love Chi-Town. I got a special place in my heart for that place. Got a lot of family that grew up there. So I know I work for the Tigers, but wouldn't mind spending my days in Chicago too.
Absolutely. We've got a good show here lined up. Ryan, I know you were. We're going to kind of dive into what happened here first yesterday. If you were here on watching the show yesterday morning, we had to dip out. Not we, Ryan and Nathan. More importantly, Ryan. And so, the reason why I mentioned on Friday that I would not be here yesterday because we had our first women's basketball game of the season, and it kicked off with a kids' school day, right? And so we were going to have 3,000 kids there, and
it was loud.
A lot of kids there. It was fantastic. from that perspective, but we get to the OU Credit Union Arena yesterday. I got there at 8:30. I walked in. I met with our production team. They were kind of getting the final touches on getting everything set up for the broadcast. We had some volleyball games over the weekend, and so we're just rearranging the cameras and getting them ready because basketball and volleyball require different coverage and angles. And so we were doing that. I actually walked in with the ESPN laptop. It's a graphics laptop. Walked in, set it down on the table, and I could hear our TriCaster. Now, for those of you who don't know what broadcasting lingo, a TriCaster is just it's a fancy name for a computer that does all the workload for a broadcast. You connect all your cameras into it, all your switching. It's very much like we do internally here, but it's a much more robust system. Anyways, this system is 18 years old, by the way. So we inherited a system that's pretty old, and we need a much newer equipment. But with that being said, I'm sitting there and I'm hearing this thing making some weird noises. And so Corey comes in and goes, And when you hear your technical director go, you're kind of like, well, what's going on here? So he's like, that's not right. That's not normal. I go, oh, okay. So what's going on? He's like, I have no idea. And so I let kind of Corey do his thing. I go back out to the court and kind of start to get myself prepared. I come back in and he's still going, in the room. And so
Corey knows his stuff too.
Yeah,
Corey's in the big leagues, man.
Yeah, Corey knows his stuff. And so he keeps going, So, we think it's a power situation. So we're changing out the power plugs on your computer can go out. Those things are designed. They have fuses inside of them. And if there's a short or something happens, those things are the first things to go in most cases. So we start unplugging and plugging some things in and we're still going, and so at this point in time, we decided to start unhooking everything and try to get into the TriCaster and actually try to get into the computer, the shell, the case it's in. At this point in time, it's about 8:59. You guys are about to go live. And so I'm looking at Corey and going, Corey, I go, do we need to go to like a plan B here? Because if this thing isn't working, we have a broadcast in 2 hours. We need to be on the air. Should I have someone bring a computer? At this time, Bianca's coming in, and she's like, do you want me to go back to the studio? I go, well, if you went to the studio and came back, we lose 30 minutes. At least if Ryan comes from the studio to here, at least I'm losing a half hour, but at least I have it here. I have an hour and a half to work this thing into the production. So so Corey plugs this thing in, and as he's plugging it in outside of the room, it starts to work. Legitimately starts to work, but we don't have it connected to anything. And so at this point, I've already texted Ryan and said, Ryan, I need to talk to you. Or I called him. He didn't pick up. I texted him. He's like, I'm on the air right now. I go, I need you to go to commercial. I need to go to commercial right now. And he's like, okay. And the now was not fast enough, by the way. I was sitting there going, dude, why are you not calling me yet, guy? Like, come on now.
Because Nate had to finish his point, and then I was like, all right, let's go to break.
I did. I saw the panic in his face as I was talking. He's like eyes wide open, like nodding along, like, hey, wrap up this point. JT's about to come through the phone to strangle me because he needs to talk now.
Yeah.
But no, like I said earlier, Ryan, good on you for handling that situation because that's a tough place to be. But
I didn't have a chance to talk to him really at this point. I had just said, I texted him and he was like, I go to commercial and call me right now. And I'm like, emergency 911, right? And so all this is happening. I'm texting him while we're testing the power outside of our room. And again, at this point, didn't know. And so when he finally called me, he was in commercial. I'm like, Ryan, I go, we're having an issue. I need you to pack up our entire podcast station and bring it to the studio right now. Right. And he's like, why? And I'm trying to explain it to him, as fast as I can. I go, I don't have a lot to explain, but I'm trying to explain to him what he needs to bring, right? And you're like, well, why didn't we have a lot of computers in the space, but why this one? Well, this one has everything associated with a broadcast that you would need to have for an internal broadcast. We have another one that's in another space off to my right here, but that one is designed for Oakland specifically and for directly to ESPN. So I didn't want to bring that one in. I just leave that there. We have a game today, so I was trying to be somewhat methodical about this. I said, just grab everything off the table, bring it with you. He's like, okay. and that was it. And I think as soon as he got everything in his car, I think he called me and I was like, I think we're good though. He's like, well, do you still need me? I go, I think it's better to be safe than sorry. Go ahead and just, bring it and we'll see what happens. Thankfully, we didn't need it. Thankfully, everything worked out. But it just goes to show you that even when you think everything is going to be good, it might not be, right? I know Brian probably goes, that was a huge waste of time yesterday, but I mean, I'd rather be in a situation. It's just, the saying goes, I tell this to my kids all the time. If you don't bring the jacket, you can't put it on. But if you bring the jacket, you can absolutely take it off. Right. So this is that same kind of thing, right? If we didn't bring it, you know what would have happened? It would have taken a shit during the game and we would have been screwed. But the thing that we had it in his car through the entire game, we were ready.
Yep.
We could have brought it.
You don't have to get ready if you stay ready.
That's right. So I'm just glad that we were able to work through it. But because that game is a huge game for Oakland. I mean, again, you have 3,000 kids there. I mean, I know Ryan said the game was boring.
This was a blowout. That's what I was saying. But no, they played well. I mean, outside of so I was sitting next to Ryan Cuddy, the sideline reporter, and we were like, dude, could you imagine if this game is 6-7 at some point? And we were like actively rooting for it. And then I believe Oakland had like 8 points and Cleary had 5, and we're like, oh, come on. No, it was a fun time. It was an energetic crowd. I mean, they were
tell them to play
at
Cornerstone next time, JT.
What?
Y'all want a fun game? Play Cornerstone. Stop. We played Oakland like 2 or 3 times before.
I don't know.
And
what
then y'all
stopped
inviting us to come play them.
I mean,
JT controls the schedule.
Come on, man.
My guess is
suggest it
again,
to him.
in the basketball world, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe a school like Cleary gets paid for this game.
They
I'm
do.
assuming. I mean,
They would.
so I mean,
We take the money.
Maybe Cleary took less. I don't know. I don't. Maybe Cornerstone demands more money. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay,
but
all
yeah,
right.
I don't dictate that.
All right, just saying, man.
Just
saying
putting that out there.
All right.
Here's the deal. A lot happening over the last couple of days. The Michigan State high school soccer state finals taking place here this weekend. We'll dive into that here. The all-state team, I just announced here this morning. Mr. Soccer was announced yesterday here in Michigan. We'll dive into that. There's some history that took place here yesterday, and we're actually going to have an interview with the winner of Mr. Soccer here later this afternoon. And we're
Oh my God, that's loud.
Oh
That
my
was
really
Lord!
loud. Turn that down. That was
Oh
terrible.
my God! I'm sorry, guys.
That was,
Ow, my
Jesus.
right ear hurts.
All
I'm
right,
sorry,
I'm
guys.
awake now. Thanks, Ryan.
Good
Wow.
morning. Don't go anywhere. We'll dive into all of that and more coming up here on Inside the Game here, number 183.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics.
Letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play,
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
call 586-304-4405
And start watching today.
Welcome back here to Inside the Game on this Tuesday morning. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wengler, Ryan Glinsky, and we're excited to have you back here as we are getting ever so closer to number 200. We would have been one episode closer if yesterday didn't happen, but either way, we're excited to have you back here on Inside the Game. And but with that being said, a lot happening here in Michigan over the weekend. Again, the Michigan High School Athletic Association, MHSAA, state finals taking place. We had some history in there as well. Again, if you want to check out all the stories related to this weekend, you can check those out on our website, nationalsoccernetwork.com. Where we have news stories for every single one of those games currently on the website. But let's take a look here at who won Division I here this weekend. I think we have them whatever order you want to do it in. But yeah, Portage Central winning for the first time in program history. Both teams, they played Ann Arbor Huron. That game went all the way into penalties, by the way. I think it was 0-0 going through 80 minutes. And then ultimately with overtime and penalties. And, we'll talk about what the history was in regards to a player on this team. But Ann Arbor Huron and Portage Central both battling it out. And ultimately, Ann Arbor fell short. Portage Central gets the win, their first win in program history. They were the number one ranked team, according to Michigan High School Coaches Association, the entire season, from week 1 all the way through the end. They finished, I believe, 24-0-2, undefeated. 19 shutouts along the way. Think about that, too, defensively, right? 19 shutouts in 26 games. It's
like my Arsenal Gunners
right
now.
Impressive.
It's like my Arsenal team right now. Just clean sheet, clean sheet, clean sheet.
That's
wild. Right. Yeah. But then we look to Division II and more history, right? More history. De La Salle and the Pilots, back-to-back champions. They won it last year. They won it this year. And who they beat? They beat Hudsonville Unity Christian. Right, and so a team that's been strong over the year, but De La Salle getting their seventh state championship in school history. They did it behind and off the back of Andrew Quarter, a phenomenal player who had a season high. I believe he had a record year this year, over 37 goals scored, which was a single season record for De La Salle. Andrew Quarter was on the Dream Team last year, I believe. I'm looking to see if he made the Dream Team this year. Go back here and double check that. See if they actually put the Dream Team out this year. They did. Yes, Andrew Quarter, junior, made the Dream Team. A forward, again, Division II. One of only 2 players from Division II to make it to the Dream Team. And, Andrew Quarter, a phenomenal player. And they still, my understanding is De La Salle brings back 9 of their 11 starters from this season back next year.
Ooh.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
You might be saying, hey, why are you guys talking about Michigan only in this? Well, first off, we're located in Michigan, so I think it's important to state that, number one. And then number 2 is, hey, I'll cover every state in the union. We know Indiana had their high school state finals this weekend as well. A lot of, I think Ohio did too. So we're absolutely going to continue to talk about this. There's a lot of things happening in the NCAA land. We'll get into that as well throughout much of this week. Take a look here at Division III. What happened in D3? Country Day. They won it again. This is a team that I think was there last year as well. They fell short to in Division III. I think they fell short to who did they lose to? Hudsonville Unity Christian. I think they lost to last year in Division III. This is their 16th state championship. It's a record. 16 state championships in history. Country Day is always in the conversation for winning state championships. This is another one that they are hoisting that trophy. Steve Bossert, also the president of the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association. And, but they are the D3 state champions.
Country Day lost in 23 to Hudsonville Unity Christian.
They lost in 23. Who'd they lose? Was Notre Dame Prep that's Division III then?
Yeah, Notre Dame Prep won it last year.
I'm thinking that Notre Dame Prep was the next Division II. So they're Division III. They won last year in that same thing. Thank you. I've gone to a number of these state finals over the years, so it's all kind of like locked into.
Blurred in one.
Yeah, blurred into one.
The size of the tie on that one guy wearing the suit is massive. I don't think I've ever seen a tie that big, unless he tied it that way intentionally. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing that out. But
yeah, you're right.
Good on those boys.
Yep. Let's take a look here at Division IV, where we saw University Liggett was in the final with David DeWahey. We watched them win the Catholic League final here a few weeks back. And you see Leland here where they battled it out, and that game went into a shootout as well. Leland coming away with that victory in penalties. I mean, it just, again,
That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, and keeping in mind that a number of years ago, I think I talked about this, maybe not with you guys, but in the past, there were not shootouts for a number of years here in Michigan with the MHSAA. It used to be, again, earlier in when soccer first started became a varsity sport in Michigan back in the early 80s, early to mid 80s. Yeah, you would go to a shootout. Yeah, you could win that way. And then there was some point in time, I want to say it was probably right after 1995, 1996, the MHSAA had said, nope, we're not going to do that. What had happened is a player had gone up, taken a shot, missed it, and then ultimately, I believe, took his own life as a result of missing that shot. And they're like, hey, we're not going to do this. We're done with this. You could do shootouts to get to the state finals, but then you couldn't do a shootout in the state finals. And we actually had back in, I would say, 2003 was the first time in history that we actually had dual champions that ended in a tie. It was like De La Salle and I don't know who they played, but maybe it was like a Brother Rice. But yeah, they tied each other in a final. First time in history that ever happened. But Leland here getting that Division 4 championship. And there are your state champions. I talked about history being made. As a former goalkeeper, I can say this is pretty cool. In the 50 years of the Michigan High School Coaches Association, Mr. Soccer, there had never been a goalkeeper ever selected for that award. And the reason why is pretty obvious, right? Typically that award goes to the best player on the field. And how often is the best player on the field not a forward? Person who's scoring goals for you.
Yeah.
And so, you could probably even argue that maybe there's a little controversy in that pick. 50 years. It took 50 years. Is this goalkeeper the best goalkeeper to ever suit up? I mean, the argument could definitely be there. So the Mr. Soccer, we announced it yesterday on our platform. There it is. Gunnar Thornhalsen, 24-0-2, 19 shutouts. He's 6'8". Is this goalkeeper from Portage Central? Ooh. And
1 inch away from perfection.
I mean, just unbelievable. Again, he came up huge during the state final. Again, leading to his team to victory. They said that without Gunnar in goal, this team would not have had the success that they had. Sometimes it takes a special player between the pipes that will get the job done. Gunnar Thornhalsen is the first player in the history of the state of Michigan to ever win Mr. Soccer as a goalkeeper.
And rightfully so. No, he deserves that spot, and he's got a bright future too. Because if you're 6'8" and you can move how he does, that's the big difference maker. Size is one thing, but people think you can just create something out of nothing when it comes to size. You see someone that's maybe vertically inclined, and you're like, hey, we could turn him into something special. He already has that. Like, he already has the ability to make the stops, and he has good instincts and good reaction times and soft hands and all the things that you want to see out of a goalkeeper that's going to make him someone that can really strive at the next level. And so he's going to be that. And, I think if I'm coming up with a comparison, it would almost be like a defensive lineman winning the Heisman Award. You know what I mean? Like the storylines are grabbed by the people who produce points, who produce goals, who, go out and make it happen. And rightfully so. I mean, there's a reason why we see that. But you and I have talked about this before, and it's a point that I feel like I beat into the dirt all the time. But if you have a great goalkeeper, that alone can win you not only games, but it can win you championships too. If you have that a goalie that can do what he's done, there's a reason why they were as successful as they were. So yeah, it's for the history component of it. That's really cool, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation with him.
Yeah, we'll have an interview with him this afternoon, and hopefully have that up and on our platform here as soon as possible. A great conversation. Looking forward to it. I mean, again, Mr. Soccer, in years past, this is the first year that we as a network, and obviously last year we were the Michigan Soccer Network at this time, but first time in history that we have not, in our existence, have not done the Dream Team Reveal Show here. We used to do that from Granite City, both in the fall and the spring. And we would be the one normally announcing the Dream Team live on the air in a 1 hour special. Typically, it would take place on Tuesday or Wednesday, like tonight or tomorrow night on our platform. But sometimes good things sometimes have to come to an end, but we're still able to still provide that same quality as far as coverage of the releasing of the All-State teams and Dream teams. The All-State have been announced as well for all 4 divisions. That will be published throughout the day today on our website and all of our social media platforms, so keep an eye out for that. We'll continue to provide that coverage across the country as those continue to make their way into the public forum. But that a historic weekend and a historic day yesterday for the Gunner and Portage Central. And we continue the conversation about high school soccer. Last year, me and you, Nathan, had a chance to cover those state finals. And
that was it was a fun experience.
I know, Ryan, that you hadn't had a chance to really kind of experience that, but I'll tell you that the cool thing about the state finals compared to the past as well is that they used to be at different locations, right? So you used to have Division 1 and 3 maybe at the same place, 2 and 4 maybe at another. They used to be east side, west side, and like the girls' finals in the spring, they've moved all the finals to one location, which happens to be DeMartin Stadium in East Lansing. And now
It's a nice field.
And they do. They play 2 games on Friday, 2 games on Saturday for the state finals up in East Lansing. And then
my only question is, can we not have these kids play at like Michigan or Michigan State or like Central Michigan or Western or like for the state championships for football? Obviously they have it at Ford Field. Now, I mean, I wouldn't have a soccer game at Ford Field personally, and I don't think they would be able to work that out. But why can't we find like a college facility to have this at? I don't know. It's just a question on my mind.
MSU.
Yeah, well, the women's are.
Oh, they are at MSU?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. My
at
bad.
DeMartin Stadium.
I just knew the men's game.
The
Yeah.
men's game is different. There's no college soccer there is college soccer in the spring, but typically by June there's no college soccer. It's over with, and so it makes it easy. The other thing, in the fall, again with everything that's going on, there's not a college in the country with natural grass that's going to let you play in November. There's just their field's way too important. So
they all have grass.
I expect's going to happen.
The big universities in Michigan.
Sorry,
they all have grass. The big universities in Michigan.
I mean,
like for
Oakland,
soccer?
Michigan, DeMartin.
CMU has
okay.
turf.
I didn't
CMU
realize.
has turf. I would imagine Western has natural grass, but again, that's on the west side. They're not going to let you do it.
Yeah.
CMU wouldn't even allow it in the spring because it's a multi-purpose field and lacrosse is in season at that point, so they wouldn't even allow that.
All right, I'm just curious.
No, it's a good question, and to be fair, I think once Detroit City FC's new stadium is built, I would probably imagine that you're going to see it all go there.
Good.
That's what I would imagine.
Or Grand Rapids
the
or whatever.
Issue too is weather, right? I mean, weather in Michigan in November can be somewhat questionable. We've seen snow, we've seen rain, we've seen a lot of it. The fact that we don't have any of that, to be fair, I don't think that there's been a state final since they moved it to Grand Ledge 3 years ago that's really had anything as far as questionable weather. They've been pretty lucky.
It was cold when you and I did it,
but it wasn't. But it wasn't raining. It wasn't snowing. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have been a lot of things, but it wasn't terrible. Hey, when we come back, we're going to dive into some other conversations. I know that the World Series ended here on Saturday night in Game 7 fashion. It ended in the 11th inning. Dodgers winning with back-to-back, right? Back-to-back. Now they're looking to obviously go back-to-back.
Number 9.
They've won that thing like, 3 times in the last 5 years?
I think 6.
Yeah,
3 and 6.
They're 3 and 6.
Yeah.
It's
9 total World Series titles.
It's pretty remarkable what they've been able to do. And to be fair, I think everyone in this country, for the first time in history, was rooting for a Canadian team, possibly to win this thing, right? I mean, the Blue Jays were like that team. They're kind of I think everyone was rooting for that until that whole ball hits the underneath your side of the outfield wall, right center field, and gets stuck. They say that's the most controversial call in baseball. It looked pretty obvious that it got stuck, but maybe we should talk into that as well.
It's not controversial at all.
Well, there was some, I think
that's a ground rule double
people
all day.
out there would say that there may be some controversy behind that. I mean, again, when
the ball gets stuck, it's a ground rule double. It's always been that way.
Hey, I just know I saw a headline that said controversial call, that does in the Blue Jays. So either way, we'll dive into some more conversation here on the other side of the break. You're watching Inside the Game, number 183.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs.
From high-quality production to exceptional coverage,
We ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today
call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast.
and let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back into Inside the Game here on this Tuesday morning. Jonathan Turner alongside the Wenger, Ryan Glinsky. And Ryan, you guys and Nathan had a lot on the docket yesterday, at least from my understanding. We didn't get a chance to get to all that, but what was up next if we were here yesterday?
We didn't get to really anything. It was just Shohei Ohtani was the only thing we got to. I would say up next at that point, what were we going to go to next? We'll pick the Chris Richards things. We'll go to USA Men's National Team, which I do believe the November roster should be released later on this week. But yeah, the Crystal Palace manager Oliver Glasner or Olivier Glasner, again I don't know exactly how to pronounce that, is upset with Pochettino. So Glasner is upset with Pochettino because of this one thing regarding the use of Chris Richards. My only complaint is the U.S. team didn't talk to us because Chris was struggling with his calf for many weeks. We talked to them and said he could rest as they were just friendlies, but they played him twice every single minute. Richards has played all 10 EPL matches in every single minute for Crystal Palace up to this point, and Glasner is upset with Pochettino because they didn't discuss the management of him.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I guess both coaches want to win, right? And so, what do you do when both coaches want to win? I mean, first off, what is the allegiance that Pochettino has with this EPL side, right? And what is, and vice versa? I mean, do they have to follow some kind of protocol? I mean, is there a protocol in which you're supposed to follow? Is it a handshake deal? I mean, like, I'm just thinking about this. I mean, do we really care? I mean, if Chris Richards does great for US and struggles at Crystal Palace, is that end of the world?
No, but if he's holding,
But he hasn't struggled though.
Yeah, he hasn't struggled too. That's the thing. But if he has an injury, I mean, I don't want him playing.
No, I get that. But my point though is that and just thinking about this in the perspective of about 6 months from now, you know what I mean, or 7 months from now. There you go. Right, I had to get that in there. Do we even care what Crystal Palace has to say about how we use a player during game ready for the World Cup? I understand right now. I get it, but I mean,
clubs do have to release the player for international duty. So there is. I'm not saying a handshake deal, but there is a little bit of talking going on regarding that.
Well, has there ever been a situation in the history where you're looking into a World Cup year that players aren't released?
No, I'm just saying though. To your answer earlier your question earlier about do we even care? Does Pochettino have an allegiance to this? No, but he does have to. The the club does have to release their player for international duty. I mean, most times it all just goes well and there's no issues, but they do have to release them, or else some penalties can occur for that nation or club.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, if there's an agreement here or if there is some sort of dialogue in between Mauricio Pochettino and the club, and he doesn't abide by the guidelines that are set forth by the club, or maybe he decided, hey, agreed to one thing, did something different. Of course, I think Chris Richards and what he wants out of this also should be factored into the mix too, right? I mean, he's his own man. He's, I would imagine he would get some sort of say in how much he wants to play. Then maybe there's some sort of argument here. But what is troubling to me is that, number one, we've already established that he's not struggling with his club. Like, he's been having an outstanding season so far with the club. He's played in every single game. There hasn't been a lack of production. If he has a nagging injury, or maybe he's been having pain after games, or maybe he's, hamstrings are weird, and I'll admit, sometimes they can come around and start to nag, and they hurt more at certain times than others. Hamstrings are just one of those things that are really hard to get away from, and they can lock up really quickly too.
It was a calf, not a hamstring.
Or calf, my bad. Calf. Same thing, though. I mean, that's just one of those things. Sometimes it just nags you. But if that's the case, and if it was bad enough, there would have been some sort of sign in the way he's playing with the club. Like, there would be some sort of backtracking, or maybe he's not as productive. But what are we freaking out about that he's played in every single game, and he's played at a high level, and now he wants to play in every game for the U.S. because he wants to get ready for the World Cup? I think this is a mismatching of priorities. I think people have different priorities, but me personally, I think Chris Richards had a lot more say in this than maybe people are willing to say. And personally, I think if there's anybody on the U.S. men's national team right now that wants to go out and kick some you-know-what more than anybody else, because of those quotes that we've talked about on this show already, it's Chris Richards. So from Mauricio Pochettino's point of view,
again, in the whole big picture, I understand why coaches are concerned, right? I mean, because again, Crystal Palace doesn't give a shit about the U.S. men's national team and how successful they are. Okay,
yeah,
because if this coach goes on a 7-game losing skid, he's going to get fired. So, that's how it works over there, right? I mean, so there's no margin for error in the EPL. You're fired like literally after a month in that case. We've had coaches who get hired in, and then 6 weeks later they're gone because they just couldn't figure it out in that time period. They're under a lot of pressure. And to be fair, I think soccer is really the only sport that this really plays a factor in. You know what I mean? You think about other sports. I mean, there's not another sport which you're really thinking about this on any level. I mean, yeah, you've got the NBA. They have an international game, but those everyone's on break at that point in time. Same thing is true in hockey, right? Everyone's on a break. They typically have these little so this soccer is the only one. It's a very unique environment, and so I get it. And you want to be successful, in your season. And if you have a player who's a star, who's especially doing really, really well, I completely understand why they would want Chris to be healthy and to be in a good place. On the flip side of that, though, I think it's true for Pochettino, right? So both things can be true at the exact same time, and that's where you're going to find a problem. And I don't know, Ryan. I mean, maybe you can attest to this, but I can't imagine this has been a problem for us a lot in the past, where we have players who are excelling across the pond, and there's this back and forth that's happening. Maybe between coaches and ownership groups in the EPL, that they're pissed off how we're using a player.
So as an Arsenal fan, Wenger was notorious for being upset with some of his players, having knocks or injuries and going out to international duty. So that's how I've learned about all this thing like a decade ago. But in terms of the USA, I don't think this has ever happened. And especially in sports, I mean, I know it's a different sport, but look at the NBA, and when there was a calf injury, what did that ultimately lead to? Look at Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton for that example. That's all I got to say. And I think a calf injury is definitely something that, is taken a little bit more seriously now because of, maybe they don't pay attention to basketball. Maybe it's happened in soccer. But a calf injury is a little bit more serious nowadays because of what it can ultimately lead to. And what I'm talking about is an Achilles injury. And for Crystal Palace, right now, I don't even know where they are on the table, but they've been doing pretty well recently. In Crystal Palace, they're ninth right now, so that's better than normal. But they have a really good center back partnership, and that's one of the most critical position groups in the game of soccer. And Richards and Mark Gahey have been phenomenal all year long, and they've only given up 9 goals in 10 games, which is impressive for Crystal Palace. And I think just what he's upset about is, there wasn't that little bit of communication. He didn't want it overused, and what he said was, it's just friendlies. And if it was a World Cup qualifier, that's a little bit different. If it's a Gold Cup, if it's a World Cup, Copa America, it's a little bit different. But at the end, that's just what he's getting at. I mean, he's got to protect himself in the end, like the way Pochettino has to protect himself. But at the same time, I mean, I don't see a massive issue with it. The only issue that I have is if Chris Richards is holding this calf injury for this extended period of time, I don't really want him playing then in these friendlies, just because of what it can ultimately lead up to. And we have bigger things, like Nate said, bigger things on the horizon.
Yeah. I think it's funny that manager says it's just a friendly, and this is the same guy that said F a friendly once upon a time. So
yes,
I just think that's a very funny dynamic between those two. But that's a good point, man. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, because calves can, and once you get an Achilles injury, like that's one of those ones that like you could come back or you couldn't. I mean, I think about it the same way as like baseball when you tear your UCL. Like, I mean, it's not like that's bad. So it also might be in our best interest to make sure that we don't run them out there for every single minute of every single game. So that's true. That's true. I'll admit to that.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that there are obviously circumstances where it makes sense to do the opposite of what happened, and there's circumstances where it makes sense to do exactly what happened. And I think that based on where the U.S. men's national team is, we've talked about this. The amount of pressure that Pochettino is under, not only from inside of U.S. soccer, but also outside of U.S. soccer, is going to force coaches to make decisions that maybe they wouldn't otherwise make. Yeah. And we see it time and time again, right? And so I think that plays into this, and I think that is that great for Chris Richards? Probably not. But Chris Richards is also his own advocate, and I think that players want to play. Yeah. Right? Players want to play, and that's why we even talked about this in the past. I don't think there's an NFL football player looking back at their career would say that they would regret making a decision. I think most were like, I was playing. I wanted to be on the field. I wanted to be out there, regardless of what was going to happen to my body. Now they're like, oh, I wish I was in less pain now. But, I mean, They
it's the reason why load management is what it is now. I mean, it's they take it to an extreme, but yeah.
So I completely understand it, and yeah. But hey, I mean, time will tell. Time will tell, right? Yeah. What else we got, Ryan?
This one's just kind of interesting. This one just happened as of 15 minutes ago. And this will ultimately turn into a question for you guys, a personal question. So Real Madrid, Liverpool playing each other right now, or will be playing each other later on today in the Champions League. And Trent Alexander-Arnold just had his mural in Merseyside in Liverpool vandalized that says "Rat" on it because he ran down his contract and left Real Madrid for a cheaper price. And I'm just wondering for you guys, whether it doesn't have to be soccer related, but what is a player that has played for your team, any team, whatever it is, college, pros, football, basketball, whatever it is. What is a player that them leaving your team kind of just left you heartbroken?
Oh man, I mean, are you talking about like a team I was on?
No, like just just watching any team that you support.
I actually think that when Matt Stafford left, I thought that was a pretty big deal here locally, right? I thought, now granted, I understand there was a lot of, that goes on with that, but in Jared Goff and whatnot, I think we still got a way better deal out of it, right, with what's going on. But I think when he left, I think that we were all kind of like, oh, shit. Like, I think that's a player.
Yeah, he was the guy.
What was it? I think who else left here? I'm trying to think about baseball wise, who'd we lose as a player that we were like, oh gosh, was it Verlander?
Scherzer, I thought Scherzer.
Yeah,
Verlander started his career here, right? And so that was a player that I think that we were all kind of like, oh crap, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I
don't know, man.
I mean, like hockey.
tough.
Right? We lost Fedorov. When he left, were we all mad about that? Were we all
Yeah.
like, oh, crap?
I was too young.
I mean, not that we lost him to another team, but I mean, obviously, I remember when Calvin Johnson retired. Like we
Barry
lost
Sanders,
him,
same
but we didn't.
thing. We
We
didn't lose
lost
another
him.
team, but he left. He
Yeah,
packed his
because our
bags
team
and got
way
out.
too
so
early,
bad.
man. He didn't have to retire that early too, and so
No.
that's what hurt probably the most about that.
I would
Oh,
say
man.
2 for me. One, I
Okay.
would say Ndamukong Suh leaving. For the Dolphins, I thought stung a little bit, and especially because of the reason why he left. It wasn't even a personal thing. It was simply money, and Miami and that all better than us. And it was a business move. He wanted to boost his brand. And for
Right.
me, the one that stung the most. So my first year I'm watching soccer, Robin Van Persie scores 31 goals. I'm like, this dude's insane. He's our striker. He's going to be here for a while. As I'm watching a USA-Mexico soccer game, it was just a friendly, and USA had not beaten Mexico in years up to this point, and they ultimately won this game. See, at the bottom ticker on ESPN, Robin Van Persie leaves Arsenal, joins Manchester United. And I was like 8 or 9, and I was in tears that this guy left. And I was destroyed that I literally got a jersey straight from England that was Robin Van Persie. One of my dad's coworkers went to England, brought it back, straight from England, straight from the team store. And then he leaves for Manchester United, and I was just heartbroken. But yeah, those are my 2.
I mean, not outside of Detroit sports. I mean, I think the biggest one I've ever witnessed in my lifetime was probably LeBron and the whole
Which time?
taking my talents to South Beach
That
when he went to
one?
Miami the first time. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's left
but-
so many times.
Yeah, second time around, I think they were okay with it. He brought back the first title to Cleveland in 5 decades or whatever it was. So they were like, you're good. Yeah, you did what you needed to do. You can leave now. But yeah, that was probably the biggest one, non-Detroit wise, that I can think of. But yeah, outside of that, I don't know. Detroit's not. Typically, they leave Detroit and then they become superstars.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, crap. Like, he was on our team once upon a time. I remember that guy. Like, Castellanos leaves and he becomes Nick Castellanos, who's another great example of a Detroiter that left and became great. I don't know. There's
And has an
probably a bunch
iconic
of them,
moment in
but-
sports history.
Exactly. Anytime there's a
Well,
disaster,
when
let's
Jerry
just hope
Harrington
he's not
left,
up the
I thought
bat.
that was going to be. I thought he was going to excel.
Joey Herring? Oh, Nate's guy.
Get off me about Joey Harrington. NCAA football 03, I think, was my first ever football video game, and he was on it in his Oregon Ducks uniform.
Oh yeah.
Once upon
Hey
a
man, he could
time.
launch the ball, no question about that. He was also really good on the
Good.
piano.
He just threw it to the other team. That was the
He
issue.
was good. He was accurate just to the other team.
I almost, to be fair,
Hey.
yesterday during my play-by-play with the basketball game, I almost, because a Clary player had threw a direct pass to their team. Like our angle was perfect. Just launched it right to right in the middle of the key and snagged it out of the air. Perfect interception. I almost said that was a Joey Harrington pass. I almost said
Shades
it.
of Joey Harrington.
Yeah.
Still better than John Kitna. Remember that guy?
Well, John Kitna
Oh
will
my
go down
God.
as probably the quarterback that got literally rocket. I mean that hit, that one hit he got, just leveled on. It will go down as probably one of the greatest hits on a quarterback ever. I mean, when he launched that ball and he just got murdered.
Antonio Brown had a bad one. That hit will resonate in history because of what happened after the fact
Ugh.
and how
I
crazy
still love
he
that Dan
become.
Orlovsky is relevant though in the sports sphere. It's very entertaining.
It's funny because Orlovsky was. I mean, you think about this, right? He obviously had one moment which will always go down as being one of the silliest
that's
moments
it.
a quarterback will ever have, where you
Yeah.
run out of the back of an end zone for a safety, not knowing where you are in the field, and then becomes right now probably one of the best analysts
Yeah.
on ESPN.
Yeah.
It's
Easily.
how the tables
Crazy.
have turned. Or as Michael Scott would say, how the turntables have turned.
How the
or
turntables.
I'll turn
Oh man, what else you got, Ryan?
Yeah, I don't necessarily know. This one will probably take us way over, but the USL making moves as well. Maybe we can just retouch on it again tomorrow if we have any other points. But Tony Scholes, who is currently the chief officer of the EPL, will be leaving to join the USL after the Premier League season, so after May. Will be joining the USL as president of its new First Division Men's League. Scholes will guide the launch of the new leagues, shape its structure, and run operations. Also will be a critical voice in introducing Pro Rel to USA Soccer. Current tasks right now involve overseeing the league's business model, league growth, and managing media rights. That's all with the Premier League. But your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to have the best league, I guess having the best people is obviously paramount. I guess time will tell. I mean, we've been somewhat, I guess, optimistic about this whole Pro Rel thing when it comes to the USL. I mean, is it going to happen? I mean, again, we've talked about it before too. The USL is at this point, just based on how they have everything set up, they are the most likely to be the league that can pull this off. And just because of, again, how everything is structured, their foundation is there. They are the perfect league to do that. From a professional standpoint, we know other leagues around the country that are in the amateur space are like, oh, we even heard about college, right? And about how college soccer wants to create Pro Rel. I keep going back to this about how I think that we need to get away from what other countries are trying to do and have been successful at, and try to focus on what makes us great. And I don't know if Pro Rel makes a ton of sense, but again, the question that I actually would end up having about this, to be fair, would be if they do in fact pull this off, if they can pull off the whole Pro Rel thing, because clearly this move is designed for that, right? You can argue about all the other stuff, but you can find someone to run a league and be in charge of it that's probably got similar qualifications. But if they can pull this off, if they can pull off Pro Rel, are they the number one league in the world, in the country? Do they surpass MLS because they figured out how to do Pro Rel? Do they immediately surpass them just based on that alone?
I tend to believe that if they did, it would be years and years down the line. However, separate and different or equal to is something that I think is very realistic for the USL. Now, obviously, the money is not going to be there right away. But if they can figure out a way to create something that is more authentic to what the game is in the areas of the world where obviously it lives and breathes, and that's something that I know a lot of people have been clamoring about, is creating a league where you don't have what we see in a lot of other American organizations with no obviously way of getting in, where you have tanking, you have teams that are just out of the question. Every year you have about maybe 5, 6, 7 teams that you know are going to be in the fight. The rest of them, who knows? But when you're battling for promotion and relegation, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, by the way. That was for you, Ryan.
Appreciate it.
But when you're battling for promotion and relegation, it brings a different kind of spirit. It brings a different kind of energy when you're battling to stay in a league or get promoted to a league. So I see why people want it. And I will say this for the USL, they got their guy. Like, they got their guy that will be able to really start to shape and move this thing. So from when they initially announced it, which I know, JT, you and I kind of looked at each other and went, that's wishful thinking. Now to get someone in there who knows what it looks like and knows what the structure looks like. And you're talking about, too, you got to think about similarly sized markets in the USL. Like, I don't know how much of a difference there is between the top markets and the bottom markets in the USL. I think if you look at the MLS, there is a massive difference between what you see in maybe Miami or in LA and what you see in terms of generating profit and just what the money is in general for the teams at the bottom end of the MLS. Is it as wide in the USL as it is in the MLS? I don't know. If it's a lot closer than that, I think it's something that's very realistic that they can do. Now, again, the implementation of this is going to be something that, is questionable. But in terms of the teams they have, the fan bases they have, and how this is their squad, because a lot of them don't have an MLS team. I think in Detroit, if they can create a system that actually works, absolutely, I think they could catch up, at least popularity-wise, to Major League Soccer in the United States.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we did this a couple weeks ago. Or last week, we talked about attendance in the MLS. What was the overall attendance for the MLS? Didn't it show it was how many fans attended games?
I think for the whole year, over 11 million. I think.
So USL Championship hit over 2 million this summer, right, in their league. And so, obviously you're from a viewership standpoint, fan standpoint, still significantly less, right? But then again, MLS has MLS and then MLS Next Pro. I would argue that the drop off from MLS to MLS Next Pro is substantial.
Yeah.
I mean, deeply. It's probably way.
Yeah.
I mean, 22,000 to 10, or something like that, some crazy number. But what's the separate the drop off between USL Championship, USL League One, right? What's that drop off look like? I would argue it is not significant, right? And so, not to the point where you're like, oh my gosh. I mean, first off, all the stadiums right now in USL Championship for teams that are trying to go into this new league are building new stadiums or building additions onto their existing stadiums to get to the minimum threshold of 15,000 people, right? They're all trying to do that right now. And so, so I think that that's a real thing. But again, from top to bottom, Championship, then this Division One, and then to League One, that's 3 leagues, all which are the perfect size to pull it off. And to be fair, I would argue you get aside the Champions League, you got obviously the Premier League, right? You start going down to like Division 3. I would probably say that from Division 3 in Europe or England to like Division 6, probably pretty close to what like USL is, and that all the way top to bottom. From USL, a championship, the Division 1 to 1. I would argue those sizes are probably close. I mean, again, I don't know but like Wrexham, how many people fit in that? It's a pretty big stadium.
It's getting bigger, but it's not.
But it used to be pretty. It used to be much smaller. I think that they were
one whole side was taken out because they couldn't repair it.
Yeah. So anyways, I would my perspective on that is again that
they have 12,000.
That's 12,000. So that's perfect. 12,000.
But it'll get to 18,000.
Okay. So again, I would say that Division 3, probably through Division 6 in Europe, is probably going to be the equivalent of that of the USL, a whole hierarchy and their foundation. By the way, Jimmy Coba hopped into the comments for the first time in a long time. Sol Campbell from Spurs to Arsenal would.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's a good move.
That's
a good move.
That was his conversation.
Ryan loves that one.
It's a good move. The whole fan base hates him, but I like him.
Well, there you go. What's the question of the day?
I had to call an audible on question of the day.
Why is that?
Because
you just asked it.
Yeah, you asked it. So I did an audible, but it's a fun one. So, thanks.
What was my question? Because I've asked a bunch. So.
The question was,
can the USL surpass the MLS?
Surpass the MLS? Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So thanks, John. I called an audible. So we're good. We went on the fly.
To be fair, though, we did not talk about what the question was. I am not like given the question, so
no, but that's the whole point of question of the day. But I'm unlike Jared Goff. I call audibles and react quickly on the fly.
Jeez.
And we're inactive on TikTok, but all the other streams are live, so we should be fine for the time being. But before we get into question of the day, Salt Athletic, the official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network, use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off. Visit saltathletic.com today or scan that QR code. But question of the day. Because we saw a questionable one on Sunday. What is the worst call we've seen with the Lions ever?
Honestly, I want to know how we go from
pass interference, Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, I was going to say the catch but no catch, Chicago Bears, Calvin Johnson.
Ooh. The process of the catch.
That's a regular season game, though. We were chasing down the first playoff win in a billion years.
Yeah, but I actually think that one, the process of the catch, I that whole, and to be fair, there was another situation in that same season with, was it Michael Irving? Not Michael Irving. Oh God, who was there?
Was it Golden Tate and?
Thought it was Des Bryant against the Panthers.
Same thing.
That was after
didn't complete the catch. The process.
That was the exact game. That was the next game for the Cowboys after the flag got picked up. That was the exact game right after the
Yeah.
Packers.
Was that the same season with the completion?
No.
that wasn't, I was going to say
the Lions still sucked at that point.
Yeah, I was going to say because
that game didn't matter in the end.
But yeah, the game did not matter. But that whole thing, that was one of those games where you're like, because they actually would have won that game. They would have
gone 1-0 to start the year.
Yeah. So there you go.
For me, I just thought it was hilarious. Was KJ Wright batting the ball out of the back of the end zone and then just giving a touchback to the Seahawks? Like, again, the game ultimately did not matter for the Lions because I think they started off the year like 0-5 or 0-6 or something, and they sucked. But the fact that Calvin just fumbled the football, KJ Wright just bats it out, which should be a safety, and we get the ball back again after the punt, they're like, nah. We'll give the Seahawks a touchback. No, it's fine. Like, what? What are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, this whole thing that happened here a few weeks ago at the Chiefs when they, Goff caught that touchdown pass. And then the refs are like, well, we got a call from New York, and then Campbell's like, no, I talked to them. No, that didn't happen at all. Like, there was no phone call in from New York. Like, wait a second, what does that even mean then?
They can't have the Chiefs. They couldn't have the Chiefs like 2-5 to start the year. That's just not allowed.
To each their own. But well, it's a good question. I'm still curious how we went from how does the MLS surpass or USL surpass the MLS to what the Lions this weekend. I thought that was
just because the whole
Ryan had a
Campbell,
quick audible, man. I mean, that was like
Jack Campbell sacking J.J. McCarthy, and all of a sudden that's like unnecessary roughness. Hutchinson gets blocked in the back, but his leg hits J.J. That's all unnecessary roughness. Oh, yeah, no. And then we were talking about the Lions for a little bit of a second, and I was like, let's just throw it up there. It would be fun. So it was a fun question of the day. Thanks, John. Thanks for making me audible.
Hey, keeping you on your feet, my God. That's the whole purpose, right?
Yeah.
Challenge. Well, hey, we appreciate you stopping by here today for number 183. Be back here tomorrow for 184 on Inside the Game, and we're excited, obviously, about that. But for Ryan Glinsky and Nathan Wenger, I'm Jonathan Turner. Don't forget to subscribe, like us, and share this with your friends and family. Check out NationalSoccerNetwork.com for all your soccer news here from around the country, including things here locally in the state of Michigan, as well as check out NationalSoccerNetwork.tv, where you can find us on your Roku, as well as on any browser, phone, you name it, you can find us. Anyways, that'll do it from us here on Inside the Game, number 183. Be back here tomorrow morning, same time, same place, right here on the National Soccer Network. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wenger bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.